Hello everybody, this is Tip Top MTG here today with another Magic the Gathering video. In today's video, we have some Magic the Gathering news regarding Strixhaven. Now technically this came out yesterday, but there was so much news yesterday I figured I'd have to split it over 2 days, so this is the list for Strixhaven being changed. So for those of you who don't know, the list is essentially a part of set boosters that are older cards from Magic's history that aren't necessarily standard legal, and they're printed in the way they were printed like last time. So for instance, sometimes we have like promo versions of cards, or we have a specific island from a specific set, or we might have a version of a card that's actually printed in an old border, and the difference is in the bottom left there's a little planeswalker symbol. And what they do, there's like a 1 in, I don't remember how many, chance that every set booster, the token gets replaced with a card from the list. And they updated every single set, or at least standard set, to kind of match what's happening in the set. So why don't we take a look at what they have to say here? Now, I'm not actually going to read this. It's also 25% chance they answered my question there. Either way, last time they changed it was in Kaldheim, and I did a video covering that, or at least it was in a video. So they added all of these cards. Now, you might be like, well, that's not very useful to me. I don't really know what all these are. And they removed these cards, which I'm not really going to talk that much about. But we are going to talk about are these new cards. And what I've done is I've brought them over to deckbox.org because it makes it really easy to import just text into cards and then sort them by their price. And we're going to talk about some of the more expensive cards being added to the list. So the number one most expensive card, also, by the way, do not take these as the price of it. This can be really thrown off based on just rogue sellings or, anything like that. So don't really pay attention necessarily to how big the number is, but kind of keep in mind which cards are going to be at the front of this list. So first we have Kozilek, Butcher of Truth. This is an Eldrazi. Now, normally they add things that make sense. Now, not always, but a lot of the time. Like if we were to go look at the rest of the things, we have something like Liliana. She's in the set. That makes sense. Even Archive Trap. We have big libraries. We have even like Heartwood Storyteller, Mizzix, Will Kenrith, Mirrorpool, Mage's Contest, Niv Mizzet Reborn. These all kind of make sense for the set. Even Ormos Archive Keeper. Like most of these things have something to do with the set. We have, Kasmina, Dual Casting, Young Pyromancer. All of these make a lot of sense. And the only one here that doesn't make a ton of sense to me is Kozilek and maybe Elenda. These could have just been thrown in because they wanted to add some high-value cards, or maybe we see a Rogue Eldrazi. I actually made that prediction. A lot of people predicted we'd see another Phyrexian in this set. And maybe we will, but I said maybe they do something interesting where they now do an Eldrazi in this set, just a rogue Eldrazi in the set, and I don't necessarily actually think that is going to happen, but, this is a very weird inclusion. I don't know, maybe this connects to something, maybe there is still a Phyrexian in the set, but we learn a little bit more about what the Phyrexians are doing, and it relates to Eldrazi, or again, maybe it's just a card they were like, hey, we could reprint this, and that's what they did. So I want to know what you guys think about that. Do you think Kozilek is in here just purely for value, or do you think it was added here for a reason? Because going through this, outside of, I guess, Gazella here too, most of these make sense. I mean, maybe not Uro, so maybe if you get rid of the legendary creatures, then you get it, and then that gets rid of Kozilek, but like everything else here seems pretty, like, maybe not perfect, but most of them seem to kind of care about something regarding Strixhaven, and some of them are even really interesting, like Mage's Contest. Look at that. That was the last time it was printed, all the way back in an unknown edition. So yeah, just very, very crazy. I think that we may see something with Eldrazi, but if I had to bet, I would probably say that there are no Eldrazi, and this is just in here for money. I mean, if we take a look and go back to this list and look at the full list of cards, which is here at the bottom, there are definitely cards in here that have nothing to do with Kaldheim and Zendikar that are clearly just here for other reasons, and the reason I mentioned those is because those were the other two sets to have the list. So it could be that they're just introducing him as a new card, but it'll be kind of interesting to see in general. I generally like the concept of the list. I think that it allows for older cards to get reprints. It allows for, maybe special types of cards to get printed, like ones that aren't necessarily like the normal version of them. For instance, up here we have Island number 50 from Jumpstart. It's like, what? That's so random, but it is something that can happen. And so that's pretty exciting. Generally, obviously, going back to this list, these are the cards you're going to want to keep an eye out. But the whole concept, I think, is really awesome. And if we actually go to page 2, you will notice there are a pretty decent amount of like 25-cent cards being added in here. Island will probably be slightly higher because they probably picked a nice version of Island. But you know, there is a pretty decent amount of like, if I would say anything $1 and up is pretty good, because remember, these aren't your rares or mythics for the pack or even the foil. This is just an added thing that you'll get occasionally. So I feel like anything from that $1.50 and up is pretty good, because you are also getting your rare, you're also getting your foil, and you're getting everything else in the pack. So yeah, I think this is a pretty good inclusion. Looking through the list of removed cards, which is going to be right here, nothing necessarily jumps out at me too much. Emrakul does get removed, so maybe they were removing Emrakul in exchange for Kozilek. That's actually something I hadn't considered before. I'm going to assume some of these were removed, like Doomblade may have been removed because it's a mystical archive, and so they don't want you pulling 2 of them. And that's the same reason why Harmonize may have been removed, because it is also a mystical archive. Same thing, I think, with Negate. So it looks like anything that had a mystical archive, including things like Lightning Bolt, were removed from this list. So I'd bet that if you see an instant or sorcery here, there's a higher chance that it is a mystical archive. I'm not saying it's guaranteed, but every single one of these that I've seen, there's been a lot of them that are also mystical archive cards. We have Vorinclex being removed. He was clearly added there because he was in the set. And so maybe they're doing the same thing with Kozilek. Who knows? Stone Rain also being removed because it's also a mystical archive. Yeah, they definitely did that. There's way too much here. Makes me bet that Rite of Flame is going to get something. I don't know. We'll have to really see. If you want to see me break down all the removed cards to see what we might be getting as mystical archives, I may, but it also looks like today is like mostly mystical archive spoilers. So maybe we're just going to get the whole mystical archive before everything else. Either way, guys, I know this hasn't been the most long video, but I just wanted to break down what they were adding to the list. I know I didn't like read it to you, but I wanted to talk a little bit about the list, how they add cards, how they remove cards, and maybe what those kind of hint at for the set. I want to know all your opinions in the comments down below. Hit that like button to stay subscribed. Nope. Hit that like button and subscribe to stay up to date with everything Magic the Gathering. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.